Alright, holsters, check. Empty mags, check. Cleared guns, check. Weapon light, check. Junk check, check. What's going on, guys? This is Burrs here to give you an update on the CCW Glock 19 that I modified a few months ago. I've hit the range, I've used it a bunch of times, and I'm going to give you an update on how it's working out. So as you saw a few months ago, I modified this Glock 19, stock Gen 3 Glock 19. And what I did to it was I sent the slide, just the basic slide that comes with a Glock 19, to JagerWerks. They went ahead and did some serrations on it and opened up the ports here in the front, which has gotten a lot of discussion on the Instagrams and Facebooks with the pictures that I post on it. Went ahead, threw an RMR on here. This is an RM01, not Type 2. I'm hoping to get a Type 2 in here soon to put on here. I have a suppressor height sight, so I get a co-witness all the way through. These are Heinie straight 8s. And we move our way down. Fighter Innovations did the stipple job. We have an SSVi trigger on here. Agency Arms Magwell to get those mag changes nice and consistent. Fighter Innovations also went through and did removing the finger grooves. They got the undercuts here, and they got the little, what they call a gas pedal right here. So instead of just doing stipple work here, he went ahead and did a gas pedal. You've seen him on agency guns, and I'm gonna tell you what, that right there really is something that if you don't have it, you're not sure what you're missing, but you're missing something, because I have other guns that have just a basic stipple right here, and this gas pedal, whatever you want to call it, ramp, ledge, is really cool. So that's probably one of my favorite things on the whole gun, as far as changing it and checking out new stuff. And finishing out with a Wilson Combat barrel. So how did it work out? How's it working out for me? It's working out really good. Got a few hundred rounds through it, hit the range 2 or 3 times, and done different things. I even at one point put a bunch of lint that I got out of the dryer and just jammed it in here, because one of the things that people say is with these cutouts in the slide that it's going to get dust, debris in here, and it's going to cause the action to stop. It's a valid concern, but through the times I've concealed carried this and the tests where I put a bunch in here, I just jammed it in there and then I ran the gun as fast as I could. I've seen nothing, and as long as you maintain your gun, you're not going to see that problem. So if you clean your gun once a month, you're not going to see that issue even possibly happen. I like to clean my gun after every range trip if possible. Sometimes I don't, but maybe if you're worried about that, but you like the aesthetics of this and the fact that it lightens the gun up to make up for the RMR you're putting on, so the slide's around the same weight as a stock slide. If that's stuff you want to do, but you're worried about this, just clean it a little bit more. Make sure it's clear of debris. If you're concealed carrying, just check it out, do an inspection on it every once in a while. And like I said, the test I did, I jammed it in there, I ran the gun full speed, and had no problems with the mag. At the time of doing this, the Gen 5 Glock was not even, I don't think, on anyone's radar as far as what was going to happen with it. It was with Glock, but not the general public. And some of the stuff that's on this that I had done, Glock actually put into the Glock Generation 5. So I found that kind of interesting. But the one thing with the Gen 5 I'm not a huge fan of is that cutout right here in the front. I don't really see a reason for it, and I've seen some people talk to me. I've talked to some people, and they said that actually gets in the way of their pinky finger, as far as if they were run the gun all day long with that there, it'd probably rub up against it and cause an issue. So I haven't checked out any Gen 5s, but I'm a Gen 3 kind of guy. As far as Glocks go, the Gen 3 is really the one, in my opinion. If you're going to get one, you're going to build something on it, I'd start with the Gen 3. You can't go wrong with it. It's a solid gun. It has a few things you can take off or alter, as far as the base goes, like the finger grooves, do some undercuts, maybe get some serrations on the front to match up with the back. You do that, and I think you have a really solid gun. So I'm a Gen 3 kind of guy. That's all the Glock 19s I have are Gen 3, and I like them a lot. So let's talk about concealability and concealed carry with this handgun. A lot of people say you put an RMR in here, you're going to have a little bit more stuff showing when you're trying to conceal the gun. I haven't really had any issues with it. It's really no different than any other Glock. Sure, you're going to have this, but it does not really come out from the side of the gun as far as the width goes. It's pretty much the same width. So if you're concealing a Glock 19 really well, or whatever gun you are, when you put an RMR in there, it really doesn't add very much to it. As far as the holster goes, I've been using a SOB Tactical, Sheriff Baghdad. This is their Deep Conceal holster, their Kydex holster. Goes on there well, no problems as far as falling out, but you can get it out nice and easily. I have the suppressor height sights on there, and it fits in there nicely with just a little bit of space at the top. So if you have taller sights, you shouldn't have a problem with this. And this is what I've been using. I like it a lot. It's easy, one clip design. Clip it on here, and I'm good to go. Now a lot of people might say, hey, I can kind of see that gun. Well, you're right. I wouldn't normally wear this shirt if I'm concealed carrying, which is the reason I wore it today. You know, to show people that, you know, when you're concealed carrying, you might want to pick a shirt that fits what you're doing. I'm not exactly the skinniest person on earth. I'm definitely not the fattest, but you know, you got to find what works for you. The other thing is, even without the gun in here and just my belt, bumping the microphone like a professional, even just with my shirt here, you can see that this sticks out, this belt. This is a gun belt, but it's just a regular, you know, kind of buckle leather belt. And even just with that, you can see it sticks out. So you really have to think about, you know, what you're doing in terms of what clothing you wear if you really want to conceal. If you're not worried about people seeing a bulge or something there, then don't worry about it, because people have all kinds of stuff that they have underneath their clothes. They have phones and all kinds of stuff. That, you know, stuff's getting larger nowadays, so maybe you carry a phone. You know, there's lots of different reasons, but getting back to this holster is minimalist, it works, it's simple, and it's cheap. It's under 50 bucks if memory serves me right, or around $50. So I like this holster. If you're looking to get just one holster that's gonna work for pretty much anything, I would check this one out. The only thing it's not gonna work with is if you have a threaded barrel, because like the light bearing version of this holster, it has a half enclosed bottom part here, so the threaded barrel is going to bump into that. And I do have one that does have a threaded barrel right here, and you can see that I can't get that in because that barrel is jamming up against the end of the holster. So if you have a threaded barrel, these might not work for you. The only thing I've changed on these, if I use the light bearing one or if I use this one, I haven't changed over this one yet, but I love the Raven clips compared to the clips that come with it. They're a little bit more robust, and they give the option to move the clip left and right. You can get these probably for about 10 bucks. Buy them on Raven's website, swap out the clip that comes with it. As far as adjustment, you get the same adjustment because they both have 3 holes if you need to move it up or down. But it gives you that option to go left or right with it to tilt it. So I do like using it that way. The other thing people have asked me, and they pepper me with questions on, is the stippling and if that causes irritation on the skin. And I can say that it does not. The stippling that's done by Fighter Innovations, it's not something that's going to cause irritation on the skin. I have a regular stippling and I have this this sprinkle stipple pattern, as he calls it. And by and far I would go with the sprinkle pattern, and I haven't noticed any irritation. Sitting down, standing up, moving around, you know, I haven't noticed any irritation whatsoever. I don't go home, take my gun off and say, oh man, it's really sore. Maybe I should put some moisturizer on it. It never happens. It's really not a problem. So if that's a concern of yours, there is no concern there. Now the one thing I will say is, from going from factory sights, when I say factory sights, but iron sights, to an RMR is something that you really got to pay attention to. My advice is, if you're making that transition and you're going to go all out and get into the RMR game on a pistol, that you take all your other firearms and you put them to the side and you say, this is the gun I'm using for the next year. And you run this gun, you know how to use this gun, because an RMR is way different than stock sights or iron sights. You have to get used to it. You can't use this a little bit or maybe go to the range and plink, which you should be going to the range in training, but you can't just take this and go out and conceal carry and expect to be successful. You have to put the time and work in to getting used to an RMR. So I say, put all your other pistols away and be like, this is gonna be my gun for the next year. You know, if I'm concealed carrying, I can during the day, and I know I'm not going out at night, I'll just run it without a light. Maybe that's something you like or don't like, whatever. It's just how I do it. And then what I'll do is I'll come home, I'll throw on the light, you know, for nighttime, home defense, etc. And I'll rock it that way. So instead of I know people have multiple guns for things, and you know, with an RMR, you really got to put the time in. So dedicate the time to an RMR if you are going to make that transition. As far as the what am I doing? Spanking myself? As far as the Magwell goes, I've had actually someone address me on Instagram saying that the Raven Concealment Freya is a better one. It doesn't add anything to the grip as far as width goes, blah, blah, blah. I can tell you for sure that if you put a Freya on, it does flare out slightly. I mean, it just does. And then when you take the agency arms and put it over top, you can see a little bit of the Freya coming out around the agency arms. So the agency arms is a little bit thinner. Are we talking anything that's really going to be noticeable? Probably not. But when you go around, people are saying, oh, this one's better because, you know, it doesn't add anything to the width of the grip. If you put any Magwell on, it's going to add to the width of the grip at the bottom. It's going to be ever so slightly, but it will. So don't get worried when you go out and people are like, oh, this one's doesn't add as much bulk to it, or this one does. The way Magwells are made nowadays, and particularly the Glock ones that are made nowadays, are very, very, very similar. The only thing you want to look for is, does it funnel it in? So you don't just want to have a Magwell that comes straight down. You want to have something that angles from the outside to the inside. And they both do that, and they both do it well, the Freya and the agency arms. I've just been more consistent with the agency arms. When I go and do my mag drills, I've been more consistent with getting the magazine in with an agency arms, which is why I rock that one. The Freya, it's a great Magwell, but what I've found is with the agency arms, it's just natural for me as far as getting the magazine in as fast as possible. Is it a minimal difference? Maybe, but I've been more consistent with faster magazine changes with the agency arms than I have with the Freya. So is it a minimal difference or a minuscule difference? Yes, but I feel more comfortable with this Magwell than I do with the Freya in a CCW environment. Plus, on top of that, the agency arms is slightly less wide and less long. When you put these two together and look, you can see the Freya is wider and longer than the agency arms. So that's another reason why I'm going with the agency. It does conceal a little bit better. Real quick tip, some people might ask why I have this facing out. So here's the magazine, I have it facing outward. I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you just want to do the opposite. The reason I have it that way is when you're doing your magazine reload, you bring it back in, you turn it slightly, you have it in your workspace, you have your finger like this, you come up, grab it like this, you bring, like my gut, you bring your hand up like so. You're going to want to drive that slide release, get your hands on target, and put the sights back downrange. So all in all, I've been pretty happy with this build. It's worked out really well. I'm going to take it to a course. Like I said, I'm going to run it through some inside vehicle stuff, some stressful environments. We'll see how it works then. I have pretty good expectations. I won't have any problems. You know, I've taken to the range. I've done, you know, unholstering, presenting the weapon, magazine changes, all that stuff, and I haven't had any issues at this point with a few hundred rounds. So I'm excited to go to the course and see how it works there. I'll give you guys an update video at that point. But if you guys have put on any of these parts since the original video or since this video, go ahead and put that in the comments. Let us know how those parts are working out for you, how you like them, or better yet, make a video about it. Until next time, later.